Yeah, it's a tough one for us. They got to do pretty much whatever they wanted to on the offensive end of the floor. I felt like, we didn't do a good enough job as coaches of preparing us to play today. That's on us. We got outplayed, we got out executed, and got out coached. And you're playing with an opportunity to go to the WNBA finals. We've got an opportunity still in front of us. Our back is against the wall, and we know that we have to be better.
Taking questions.
Thank you. I just want to start one step for you and then AT one for you as well, if I could. When you look at these numbers, there's a couple things obviously jump out. One of them is the 3 for 20 from three. And I'm wondering whether you're happy with the looks that you got, or you felt like they did a good enough job of disrupting what kind of looks you were getting from three.
I think some of them were good looks. There's not very often when Marina's going to go 1 for 11. Certainly I felt like some of them were good looks, but I also felt like sometimes we didn't make them work enough. Didn't get the ball from side to side enough, or didn't, create for one another enough. So it's a little bit of both.
And then Alyssa, just on the other side, the amount of efficiency that we saw from them from two, it seemed like you had a level of frustration throughout the game. Can you just kind of take me through your feelings about that, why you think they were able to be as efficient as they were from two tonight?
Yeah, we didn't come to compete. It didn't matter what we were in defensively. You gotta look in the mirror and want it. At this point, nobody's gonna hand you anything, and if we're not gonna come out there and compete, this is the result.
Thank you, guys.
Steph, they got a lot of production from their bench tonight, 16-4 for you guys. I mean, just how much are you kind of missing Ty's production right now, having to start Marina and losing that sort of scoring off the bench?
Yeah, we're missing it a lot. I mean, Ty is a double-digit scorer for us. She's a floor spacer and a shot maker. So we certainly are missing that. It's one thing for us to miss the production. It's another thing for us to have her on the floor, but she got to be ready to go, right? Like we got to make sure that she's able to move, and we got to make sure that she's able to be effective. And a lot of that's defensively, too. So it hurts. We need to get production from our bench, no question about it.
Hey, Coach, usually you always say you're playing a game of chess, the long game. With the next game, how much of it is you have to make adjustments and play chess? Or do you just flip the board over and say, like AT said, we're just going to have to do what we're going to have to do?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, but, certainly you got to compete, right? You got to come out and you got to be ready to compete. I feel like, we're two pretty evenly matched teams. I feel like when we play at our best on the defensive end of the floor, which we've seen for most of the year, this was a little bit of an anomaly. When we play our best, we make things difficult. We didn't make things difficult. And on the flip side, we have to continue to do a better job of finding things that are working for us offensively that can create space for our players to go to work. And I thought we had some opportunities today, probably not enough of them. But for us, we're at our best when we get out in transition. And if you don't get stops, you're not getting out in transition.
Brionna, this was easily your best performance offensively so far in the playoffs. What was it? What was the difference in that second quarter that really helped you break out? And what's going to be important to keeping this momentum heading into game 4 for you personally?
I think it was just my mentality coming into this game. I know I haven't shown up the last 2 games offensively, but just being able to get to my spots and demand the ball when I want it, and then my teammates found me and made my looks easy. But I think going into the next game, I think it's still that same mentality, and then again getting after it on the defensive end, because I think that's where we fell short tonight.
They were both points where I saw during the game where during a play you kind of both kind of motioned like, what are we doing? And on some plays, and sometimes it's just basketball. Not every play is perfect. But at what points, like, what were we trying to look for, and how hard were things to find, and what made it a little bit more difficult to kind of stay organized on offense at some point?
I think we got to realize that we didn't get here by ourselves. We got here as a team and moving the ball and picking people apart. And at this point, yeah, you want it,
but we're not going to get over the hump without using each other. And yeah, this was a poor display of what Connecticut basketball is about. To come out with an aggressive defensive plan and to only get 3 steals, that's unacceptable. And yeah, we got to go back to the drawing board, and we got to play people that are going to come out and be ready to fight. Yeah, big time players show up when their backs are against the wall. You know, a lot of us have been in this position before and have come out of it. So yeah, it's no different. If you want your season to continue, if you want to make it to the finals, then you got to give everything you got, and that's what playoffs are all about.
Coach, it seemed like they were playing really good defense on Mabry, and the offense didn't seem like there was a lot of fluidity to it. It seemed like they kind of put a wrench into the gears. Can you speak about that and, you know, what you plan on doing the next game?
Yeah, I feel like, you know, it kind of ebbed and flowed for us. You know, there are times when their pressure affects us and we get a little bit tunnel vision. And AT mentioned it. You know, when we got the ball side to side, multiple players touched it. We shared it. We got good high percentage looks. I think it's when we feel like we have to all do it ourselves or make the play that's going to change the momentum. The reality is it's not the play that changes momentum, right? It's digging in on the defensive end. It's using one another. It's getting high percentage looks. It's a series of events. So, you know, there were times where I felt like we just got stagnant. There are times where we're trying to get to the third action and not really attacking the first and second one with purpose, understanding what we're trying to get. You know, we did a better job of getting Breezy the ball tonight than we had the first 2 games. But then we got to be able to play out of that as well.
Here in the center.
Coach, was there something about their ball screen offense, their pick and roll that really gave you problems? I mean, you kind of throw a few different coverages at them and nothing really seemed to work. What was it about what they were doing that caused so many issues?
You know, they're a good team. They spread the floor. They're really balanced, but I felt like it was more us. I felt like we were soft and no matter what we did, I felt like we kind of let them go where they wanted to go. We didn't give a whole lot of resistance. We let them move the ball around the perimeter really easily. You know, it's just there's got to be a mentality of being disruptive. You know, they're a team that gets a beat, so we have to continue to give them looks, but at the same time, we've got to be able to execute looks and give ourselves a chance.
We're going to take it to Zoom. Going to go Brad and then Blake and then finish in the room with Ben. Go ahead, Ben.
Yes. Hi, Coach. Your team was in the bonus for a significant time in the 3rd and 4th quarters. Did you feel that you took advantage of that? And how did that impact the team late in the game?
Well, I know we talked about that certainly, you know, in timeouts about staying aggressive, getting to the rim. You know, we had 7 free throws at halftime and we finished with 23. So, you know, I felt like when we had opportunities, you don't want to force it certainly, but if you can get rotations and if you can attack and get to the foul line and convert at the foul line, you know, it's important, particularly when you're trying to come back. So, you know, I feel like we did a decent job of it. We made it a priority. And when we got there, we were able to convert, I felt like in that second half.
I thank you, Coach.
Blake.
Hey, ladies. Nafisa Collier had 2, pretty bad games for her standards, or not up to her standard, and she pretty much went off today. So what offensive and defensive adjustment do y'all think y'all have to make on her going into Game 4?
Well, she's a great player, certainly. You know, AT always does a really good job. We did a lot more switching today, and I felt like that. You know, they made it a point to take advantage of the mismatches when we did our switching. You know, the important thing for us is we've got to make them make 2 or 3 passes to exploit it, not just one. And we weren't disruptive enough to do that. And she really went to work. I felt like she was much more aggressive in this game, you know, hunting those opportunities than she was in Game 1 and Game 2. But the reality is, you know, when you're talking about an MVP caliber player, you're not going to stop them. You just got to try to make it difficult. Did we make it as difficult as we could have? No. but we can't let everybody else go off. We've got to maintain, we got to contain everybody else. We can't allow 4 players in double figures. They're too dangerous of a team when that happens. So we've got to do a better job collectively of making sure that we make things difficult, but we got to lock in on everybody else too.
Thank you.
Hey, just taking it back to game one, the Athletic during the game reported that after game one, Cheryl confronted some of your players near your locker room, Coach. I guess, what were you there when that happened? What did you see? And what is your reaction to an opposing coach confronting some of your players after a game?
I wasn't there, but that was a week ago. Don't have any comment on that.
And just Breezy, were you present at all? And what was your reaction?
Right, you're just trying to stir stuff up. No comment.
To ask.
Yeah, no comments. Just trying to stir stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.